Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 28 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Hagoromo. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Personally Trained by Kurama after leaving the village, and enjoy that guys. And I also posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline over on Anime King 2. So go ahead and enjoy it as well. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. Yes, I have 3 channels guys. Link will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, the Raikage and the Tishikage was running tests. They had some strange machines that were able to harness the power of nature and use it. As they got the idea from someone who the Raikage never expected to even meet in his lifetime. Because something like this should be a myth, but it was right. They got the first machine operational. With that, they were going to work on the others. Hagoromo and Hamura had used up most of their spiritual energy to be in the real world. After all, they were long dead. So, their spirit tying them to the real world had been used up. They couldn't appear for a while until it was replenished. It was like nature itself, but it will take a while. But Hamura was pissed, as he couldn't believe what Hagoromo did. Hagoromo was the one that told the Raikage about the weapon. Some of his creations, like the pot that he tried to steal a tail within, it was in Kumo, so he was able to project himself there, as some of his chakra was still in the relics. He messed up bad, as Hamura knew it as well. He started to question his thoughts about betraying Naruto a long time ago. As Hagoromo just felt hurt, his pride was severely damaged after Naruto had single-handedly beaten the both of them. After all, he was the one known as the Sage of the Sixth Path, the man that is said to be a god amongst men, and yet his brother had seriously defeated him with holding back his power. That is why he told Raikage about the power. The power that can severely harm Naruto, and that was nature energy. But Hamura told him what was going to happen when Naruto get angry. What was going to happen if they failed. Everything was done for. He wasn't even sure that Mito, Sasuke, or Haku could calm that amount of rage that Naruto was going to give off when that happened. The malice, the hate was just going to magnify. Later that night, Naruto was talking to Yujito, as she's heard the pain in his voice. Despite putting on a tough facade the most of the times, he went through a lot, being tucked away in that box for years. And she understand. Yes, a part of her could understand why he was so angry. Later that night, Naruto found Jiraiya, as he was trying to sneak around his borders. As Naruto spoke to him, Jiraiya asked if he was going to ask about Mito or Haku or anyone back at the village. He kept on running his mouth as Naruto showed him why he should keep his mouth quiet, as he choked the life out of Jiraiya before throwing him away, as Jiraiya gasped as he was able to breathe once again. As Naruto simply left, telling Jiraiya to leave this place instantly, and with that he headed off. Aside from that, the team had gotten to the hidden sand, as they quickly made their way towards where Pakon had tracked the scent after Kankuro gave them a piece of cloth to where Gaara was. They made their way there, but they were too late. Naruto arrived there as well, as he felt the power of the Shikaku. He could feel the power being drained away into the Edo statue. He literally blew open the cave. They were confused, especially Pain, considering the fact that the cave had a seal on it but it wasn't broken. Zetsu quickly hid back, as he didn't want Naruto to say something that screw everything up so he didn't show his face at all. As Naruto turned toward the statue and ripped the remaining power out of Gaara as he sealed it within the statue groaned a bit, as it seemed to recognize its chakra within Naruto. Even though the taint tail was currently dormant, it still had sentience a bit, and it wanted to rip Naruto to pieces. As Naruto told Pain that he should come by when he's finished gathering all the tail pieces, because he has the other ones, and make sure he bring his army, because he wanted to see how well he utilized the Rinnegan. As Naruto then turned towards Hidan as he spoke, as he could feel the power of Jashin coursing through him, as Hidan called Jashin a god, as Naruto simply laughed at that. After all, he knew exactly who Jashin was. As Naruto stepped outside, Itachi was confused, as he wondered what the hell happened to Naruto. The moment Naruto stepped outside, though, he was surrounded by the two Konoha teams that were sent here, as Team Gaia came to back up Team Kakashi. So yeah guys, those basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across to the playlist and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? The place was silent. Yes, complete utter silence. As everyone is looking at him. He was standing at the entrance to the cave. A large hole blown open. Inside, Deidara and Sasori didn't know what the hell was going on. They heard about this guy Naruto that had created an empire for himself, called the Otsutsuki Empire. But for him to just appear here, and not to mention what he did with the beasts, something that took them days, but he just ripped the remaining power out of Gaara like it was nothing. As Deidara was currently looking down at the body of Gaara. What should we do now? It's too late, said Sasori. The Konoha team has arrived and is outside. I guess we should just wait. But what about that Naruto guy? What exactly are his intentions? On that I have no idea, said Sasori. He wasn't able to put a spy inside of the Otsutsuki Empire ranks. The reason being, every spy that he tried to place inside, he lost contact of them. Because they always end up dead. He had no idea how his spies were found out that easily, but they were. So it was just a waste of time because he was failing. Yes, he was failing to get a spy inside their ranks. The leader had asked him to find out some way to find out what is going on in there, but him, the known spy master, has failed to get someone inside his ranks. So he will just have to see what was going on. Deidara looked down at Gaara's dead body. Well then, let's see how this plan out. If anything, I'll just use my art to send them all to oblivion. Back outside, the place was thick with tension, memories. As everyone looked at him, he then did something. Well, something that was rather off-putting. He simply turned and walked away. Yes, surprising all of them when he just walked away, like he didn't even see them. Mito glanced towards the others. Before she looked back towards him, he was really just walking away, not even acknowledge them being here. He then leaped on top of the cave entrance. As everyone stood there frozen, he really was just walking away. But she wouldn't allow that. Mito, wait! But it was already too late as she leaped forward. Haku didn't even hesitate either, as she launched herself, quickly making her way after him. Kakashi placed a hand on Sasuke's shoulder, stopping him from doing anything rash. Remember, we still have our objective here, he said. As much as he would like to catch up with his old student and find out what the hell is going on. Gaara, we still need to find out what is going on inside. Guy looked towards him. Right as always, Kakashi. We will just have to leave it up to those two to come back with the necessary information about what is going on with young Naruto-kun, said Guy. But for now, we have something to do. Sasuke wanted to go along as well, but Kakashi was right. He just had to make sure those girls knew what they were doing. Lee, on the other hand, watched Naruto went off, as he remembered fighting Naruto in the preliminaries, and what happened to him afterwards. After all, Lee was different. He had changed over the past couple of years. One big thing was he was able to use chakra now. Naruto's silver chakra had break and stir the dormant chakra within inside of Lee. The admiration from the fight that Naruto had with him. He saw Lee as worthy, and his chakra moved on instincts to release Lee pathways. when they were fighting. That is why the nurse had told Lee that his chakra was diminished but he was fine. That had confused Guy and Lee back then. But now they found out that Lee was able to perform techniques. They still had no idea what happened, and they may never will because they don't really know about how Naruto chakra works. But for now they had a job to do. Kakashi gave them a signal as they moved forward, quickly entering the base. Neji had his Byakugan activated as he looked towards Gaara. No one asked because everyone could see from the short distance that he was dead. "Are there supposed to be more of you?" said Deidara as he looked them over. Chiyo then turned her head towards Sasori. So there he was. "You're here as well, old lady," said Sasori as he looked at her. "Yes, I'm here. I'm here to stop you," she said. Sasori simply chuckled, his laughter sounding rather scorch. It may be because of the puppet or something. Sasuke clenched onto the blade at his waist. "We don't have time for this. Let's take these two out and retrieve the body and find out what the hell is going on." Deidara simply laughed as he looked at Sasuke with a keen eye. "Wait, you look like... I get it now. That goddamn arrogance. To think that you're powerful enough to defeat us just because you're Uchiha. I really hate you people," said Deidara with rage. He had always hated Itachi ever since the man humiliated him, and he figured that all Uchiha was that way. Sasuke wasted no time as he vanished, surprising Guy by his speed. Slam! Sword connected with tail as Sasori blocked the strike. Deidara received a harsh kick in his mouth that sent him sailing in the back of the cave. Sasuke twisted and brought down his heel as Sasori leaped away. "Watch out, his puppet! It's filled with poison needles!" As the mouth of the puppet was open, Tenten quickly unsealed a scroll as she started to rain hell down on Sasori as he had to move, only for Lee to quickly go through handstands as fast as he was able to. That was rather slow compared to normal people as he slammed his hand on the ground. Earth style. Stone spikes. As stone spikes erupted from the ground, one of the few jutsu that he learned as his nature was earth. Guy smirked as he moved forward and grabbed onto Lee's hand and threw Lee. Lee used the momentum to throw Guy as the both of them spin in the air. They came down like a barrage on Sasori. Sasori brought up his steel only for Sasuke to slice right through his blade in hands with wind and lightning. It took it off so easily. Guy and Lee crashed down, tearing the puppet body apart, only for something to leap out of it. Bombs exploded the entire area in front of Guy and Lee. As the bombs rained down, tiny spiders going off. "You think I was out?" Deidara said. "You people will know true art," as his mouth and his hands started to chew on the clay. As he got a gleam in his eye. "The first one to know my art will be you, Uchiha," he said. Meanwhile, he was really ignoring them, as he was simply moving away from them. He was not running as fast as he could after all. He could easily outpace them. Mito had enough as she launched her chains, only for them to wrap him up and pull him. He slammed his foot in the earth, stopping his yank, as she slowly turned him with her chains. He was bound rather tightly. She flexed her hands. The chains got razor-sharp tips that graze his skin. "If you move, it will cause you unimaginable pain," she said. She stepped forward and so did Haku, the both of them looking him over. But he simply remained quiet. "So it's like that. After 3 years, and you have nothing to say. Not an apology for leaving us. Not an apology for nearly choking me and Sasuke to death. Nothing?" As Mito looked him up and down, he didn't say anything. As his eyes landed on Haku, she looked at him, her face impassive as ever. As he still said nothing at all. None of them knew what was going on through his mind, as he just looked at them, his eyes looking like it was peering within his soul. Haku then stepped forward. She came right up to him without hesitation. "Your hair has grown," she said. "A lot longer." As she reached out and touched it, he didn't move. You even gotten taller, hasn't he, Mito? Mito released a sigh. Despite everything that happened, she missed her brother. She didn't know why. But seeing him not saying anything, seeing him not attack them, it made her felt happy to know that he hasn't completely lost it. Yeah, I suppose it has. Well, I guess 3 years of not cutting your hair and growing would do that to you, said Haku. So how have you been? She asked, as she looked him over. It was then that he finally spoke. I'm not your brother, nor do I love either of you, he said. The both of them looked at him. It impacted his words. It hit hard. Yes, really hard. We already know why you're doing this. We know what your brother did to you. We know what happened to you in the past. But it doesn't matter what you say, you're still my brother. You and I are family. Despite what your other mind is telling you to say, despite you trying to push us away so you don't have to feel what you truly feel for you to understand that you're my family. Because if you truly didn't care about us, then why? Mito reached into her shirt as she pulled out a necklace that said, Greatest Little Sister. Haku reached forward. As she moved his shirt, he didn't hesitate or do anything. He just looked at her. He was wearing 2 necklaces around his neck. One that she gave him. Yes, it was a ice crystal that she had preserved. She had used so much of her chakra to make it. Something that she gave him for him to always remember her by. It was about 2 weeks since they started to, well, experiment with each other, when he just brought up that flashback. As Naruto looked at Haku, as she placed the crystal necklace in his arm, as he lifted up and looked at it, with a small smile on his face, already exchanging gift. It's like we're a happily married couple, he said. Well, I wouldn't mind, she said. But I just wanted you to have this. So will you accept it, she asked. Won't it melt? This is different, she said. It took me a long while to make this. To make it just perfect for you. To remember me by. It sounds like you're going somewhere, he said. Or that you're leaving. Or that you're dying. Silly. I'm fine, she said. I just want you to know. Her face became red. I've liked what we've been doing so far. And I want to continue. Well, if you don't have a problem with that. So you got me a gift, said Naruto. How sweet. She punched him in the arm lightly. Stop mocking me, she said. I'm not, he said. Don't worry. I like it, he says. He looked it over. Hey, what's that? As she looked at the necklace that he was wearing. As he reached and pulled it out. Mito gave it to me, he said. She smiled. I like how the both of you are close. I hope that we can become close like that one day. He looked at her strangely. Not like a brother and sister type. I mean, she blushed even more. Never mind, she said. As Naruto laughed. End the flashback. If you didn't care about us anymore, then why are you wearing these? Asked Haku. As she looked at him. I just forgot to take them off. Mito narrowed her eyes, then do it. Take them off and throw them away. If you really don't care about us anymore, if you don't want to see us anymore, show us that you really don't care. Just throw them away and be done with it, she said. Naruto brought a hand up, completely, snapping the chains that was holding his hand. Mito was surprised, as he did it so effortlessly. He wiped his hand down his face. Can't you guys accept that the old Naruto is gone, and I'm not him anymore? You're not gone. You just changed, and we will never, no matter what you say, give up on you. Yes, never, Haku said. Because we love you, the both of them said. At the same time, just come back to the village. We can sort all of this out. Think about it. You haven't harmed any single Konoha ninja. In fact, a couple of your ninjas came upon us. And they saw me, Haku. They saw all of us. Then you gave them an order not to harm any of us. He said nothing. That made Mito smile. There you go, even when you shouldn't have. You're still always thinking about me. You're still always trying to protect us in some way. So please, just come back home. My home is not within the Hidden Leaf. I have a new home now. The Osusuke Empire. None of us are able to go there. Jiraiya told me that he himself can't even get in. So I know it would be pointless if I try to go there because you will refrain from seeing me. Because you're afraid. I fear nothing, he said. You're lying, Haku said. As she came forward, you're afraid. That if you let us in, she placed her finger right where his heart was. You will come to understand. You will realize that all of this nonsense of blocking us out is a waste of time. We know what you're planning. You are powerful. But to try to enslave the world, that is just an idiotic dream. Why would you want to do something like that? Don't you want to live with the ones that love and cherish you? Don't you want to live with your precious people? He looked at the both of them. There was again that nagging feeling in his chest that just seemed to hurt whenever he see these people. Anytime he saw someone from his past life, someone that Naruto Uzumaki knew well, that nagging feeling was just pulling at him. And he tried to suppress it a lot, but it was strong. Yujito was right. These two will try to override him in that way. To try to make him change, but he will not allow that to happen. He made a promise while he was stuck in that box, while he was being slowly stripped away. And he will not give up. I won't stop doing what I'm doing. Then you're really gonna go up against the entire world. Do you think that is gonna end well? Asked Mito. Do you think you going up against the entire world is the right thing to do? Are you that stupid? She asked, her anger taking the better of her. Or are you just gonna throw away everything? Throw away the entire past for this new goal, this new dream of yours? Yes, he said, without hesitation. She backed down in sadness. And when you do go up against the entire world, and if you die doing it, what are we supposed to do? Asked Haku. Move on. Live your life without me. It's not my concern. It's not like either of you meant anything to me. Slap! The both of their hands connected on each side of his jaw. But his face didn't even move a budge. As he looked at the both of them, this nonsense chatter is a waste of my time. Suddenly, the both of them were thrown back. Mito quickly anchored her chains into the ground as she grabbed onto Haku's hand. As the both of them were kept at bay, as the force finally relented. You're wasting your time. You're not going to convince me to do anything. I suggest you go back to Konoha before things get really bad. What are you going to do? Kill us? Asked Mito. That would be the day. You promise that no matter what, you'd risk your life to make sure I'm okay. You saved me countless of times I can't even count. You told me I was the greatest sister ever, and you would do everything to protect me. You swore it, because at the beginning it was just the two of us, no one else. So now you're threatening to kill me. She then stepped forward. Go ahead. If you really don't care, kill me, she said. He simply turned his back on her. I don't have time for this. He took off as she was blown back by the force. Chains instantly exploded from her palm and wrapped her on his legs. She yanked him down to the ground as Haku went through hand sign. She slammed her hand on the ground ice, quickly spread from the impact as it crawled up Naruto's legs as he stopped right at his waist, freezing him in place. You're not going anywhere, Haku said. You're coming back to the village, whether you like it or not. We will force you to see reason if you don't want to. He started to laugh. What's so funny, said Mito. Well, it's funny. You actually think you can hold me? The ice broke to pieces as he got to his feet. I don't know what Hagoromo or Hammer has been teaching you. I could sense that they were here for the entire 3 years. I guess by now it will take them a while to return. But they have been teaching you, I'm hoping. Because if you still have the same strength that you have back then, trust me, dear, there is no way either of you can bring me back. Not in a million years, he said, if I don't want to. You have no idea what I'm capable of now, said Mito. As she stepped forward, she moved off with a burst of speed as she appeared behind him. Haku appeared in front of him as the both of them grabbed onto his arms and pulled him back. They both applied pressure and pushed him down as they pinned his chest down to the ground. Mito released chains as they wrapped around his hand tight. She made them extra thick. Chains wrapped around his legs and wrapped around his torso, wrapping him tight. He simply laughed once again. "Can't you see that this is pointless?" he said. And just like that, the chain simply snapped, with him just flexing his muscles as he got back up rather easily as the chain simply snapped off him. He brushed himself off. "It would be wise if you just go back to the village right now, so you won't get hurt. We already made up our mind because we know we'll have to fight you to bring you back. So we don't care. And it's not like I haven't done this before." Mito swung her fist as it connected right into his face. His face didn't even budge though. She looked at him with a bit of alarm. Despite, she was not going all out. It was like he was barely feeling anything. He slapped away her hand. As Haku swung her fist, he simply caught her hand. Mito swung a kick as he slapped it down. Mito twists as she brought her foot around as he ducked, bringing Haku down with him as well, before he pushed the two girls into each other. He then tapped Haku on the forehead as her body dropped to the ground instantly. She felt a weight descended upon her as she started to pant, as she could barely move. Mito came at him as he grabbed her wrist and flipped her as her back slammed on the ground. He tapped her on the forehead as well. "What are you doing?" she said. "To make sure you don't follow me." As he started to walk away, Haku raised her fist. Boom! She slammed it in the ground. The entire ground shattered. Stone and debris slamming into him as it came up. He simply stood there as he crushed. It was like his skin was steel. He looked down at the two of them as the both of them struggled to get up. The both of them flared their chakra as they override the small amount of weight that he placed on them. As he got to their feet, "This won't stop us. We will bring you back." An explosion went off as Naruto turned his head, completely ignoring them. He simply flew off too fast for them to stop him. "Come on, Haku," said Mito as the both of them rushed forward. He was flying straight towards the explosion. Naruto arrived rather quickly as he saw the entire cave was destroyed. As he saw puppets litter the entire place, each of them broken into pieces. He saw a body. There was a body with two puppets that had blades sticking through the center of the chest where a strange cylinder was. His vision went bright as the entire place exploded into lightning. Someone was sent sailing out of the sky as they slammed into the ground with so much force. The person's body must be broken up after that. The person cursed as he coughed up blood. One of his hands were missing, as cuts and scrapes were all over his face, a large torn in his torso. It was bleeding rather badly. The man was panting, blonde hair. It was none other than Deidara. Deidara saw no hope in this. He was gonna die. As he looked, they haven't even taken down one of them yet. Tenten was out of commission though. Tenten and Neji. The both of them got struck by the poison. But Haku had created antidotes and handed them to Chiyo, and they had given it to them. At the moment, Guy was holding on to Gaara's body, as Sasuke had taken on Deidara. Kakashi felt proud, as Sasuke was only using his normal Sharingan, and yet he was able to take on an S-rank missing Nin, while Chiyo and the others had dealt with Sasori and him, and Sasuke had dealt with Deidara. Deidara had nowhere else to go, as his body pulsed a bit because of the lightning. He saw no way out of this. Screw it, as he started to remove the thread that was coming out of his chest. A large tongue came out as there was a mouth in his chest. Sasuke paused. It's over. The Akatsuki can't hunt me down when I'm dead, but this will indeed take out the Jinchuriki. Screw it. I'll make sure that I bring you all to oblivion. Kakashi landed beside Sasuke. Sasuke quickly held on to his blade as he twisted his hand as lightning started to crack on the tip. You think that you can stop me now, Uchiha? Veins, black veins start to come all over his body. As the veins start to get more pronounced, his skin started to fade away. As his body started to be eaten away into a black orb. Mito and Haku landed right behind Naruto. You think you're gonna The both of them paused as they felt the surge of power. Kakashi quickly realized what he was doing as his eyes quickly changed. But it was too late. As the orb was the only thing remaining, Deidara's body was completely gone. Sasuke cursed as his eyes started to twirl, changing to a different form. Before, all of them were stopped as Naruto grabbed onto the orb and held it in his arm before he twisted his body. As he threw it, the thing flies so fast, it was like a bullet whistling through the air. It burst through Earth's atmosphere and exploded. It didn't go too far because it exploded rather quickly. But the explosion did not harm any of them. But it could be seen in the air like a giant firework going off. Mito and Haku quickly landed as the both of them looked at him. But Sasuke was the one to spoke. I thought you were a bad guy. Why did you bother saving us, he asked. As he wanted to see if the old Naruto was still in there. If you will make a sarcastic remark or something. That's not the reason I stopped it. As Naruto turned and faced Guy. You there. You might be a challenge in the future. Something I'm looking forward to. I hope you're not a waste of time. After all, being able to open the Hashaiman gates is quite impressive. I hope you can at least bring yourself to accept death if you're gonna fight me. Guy looked at him. Was he talking about the 8 inner gates? The final step? Uchiha, I don't know how you did it. I can feel remnants of my chakra coursing through your body, but yet it has completely merged with your own chakra. And those eyes of yours, quite the development. But you're still too weak, so don't waste your time and bother challenge me. It is in your best interest right now that you all return back home. I am no longer a shinobi of Konoha. A missing nin if you might call it, but that doesn't really concern me at the moment. I am Naruto Osusuke, not Naruto Uzumaki, and I am the leader. I am the leader of the Osusuke Empire, and soon to be god of this entire world. Tell your Hokage that it's best if she calm herself and stand down. I will be by soon enough to give her my demands. What? Said Mito. You heard me, said Naruto. This entire world will be mine soon enough. Not just a single place. And you expect us to just lie back and allow you to do that, said Kakashi. Oh, I expect you to challenge me in a battle, but I hope you're all prepared to die. As he looked towards all of them. After all, what's the point of living if you can't have a battle that will make sure your life is at risk, to have the adrenaline pumping? He simply smirked. That's all I have to say. As he bent his knees. Wait, said Mito, as she sent out her chain once again, but he slapped it away. No more of that. He simply fly away. Mito's body started to flicker. A strange bright color as she bent her knees. He's not getting away. Only for Sasuke to stop her. Don't. Let me go, she said. This is not the right time. Mito, as much as I would want him back right now, Sasuke is right. You going after him now will solve nothing. As she watched Naruto flew away, she could tell that he's trying to be all arrogant right now. There is no point. Mito dropped to her knees as she slammed her fist in the ground. All of that training. Yet, even though she wasn't going all out, she felt it. There was just a severe gap between their powers. She felt another hand placed on her shoulder as she looked up. It's alright, child. Lady Chiyo, it's alright. He will come back to you. You will have your brother back. All of you will have him back soon enough. They looked at her questioningly. Well, being as old as me, you get to read and understand people just by a single look. I can tell that that boy is going through a lot. Mentally. He doesn't want to accept what he truly has to do, but he knows how much pain he's putting you through. Despite him playing that tough facade, he knows that he's hurting you by doing this. Just give it some time. Mito quickly wiped away the tears. And she hated feeling so useless. After all these years, she still wasn't able to do anything. It still hurt her. Not to mention, Gara. She rushed over. Chio simply walked over. Can you lie him down for a second there? Guy nodded as he lied Gara down. What are you doing? Asked Mito. You there. You are Tsunade apprentice. Am I right? Haku nodded. In my days, no one would ever send a great medic like that. Someone like you. You were able to create the antidote and completely remove the poison from Kankuro. Quite easily, I must say. While the sand medics could not help him. In my days, even though we be ally, help like that wouldn't come. But I can see that time has changed. And I suppose it's time I change with it as well. I've lived a long, long life. It's time I give it up for someone who deserves it even more. And to repay a debt for all the damage I've caused. What are you talking about? Mito said. You'll see soon enough. Meanwhile, Naruto landed on a nearby mountain peak. As he went down to his knees, he slammed his fist into the top of the mountain as the thing cracked and broke open. He was angry. No, he was pissed off. He couldn't find in himself to really attack them to the way that he wanted. Just by subduing them, causing them pain, it made him feel ill. It made him feel sick to his stomach to do that to them. Why? Did he have to be so weak around those two? Especially those two. Damn it, he slammed his fist again, destroying the entire mountain peak. Pushing out his rage and frustration, his eyes quickly turned into the Rain Sharingan as he slammed both hands down, cracking the earth. Lava started to spew out of it. As he slammed his hand down again, tremors went through the earth. He took in several deep breaths. He was Naruto Akatsuki, damn it. He was a god, not a weak human. What was his feeling? Why did he feel so weak? Why did he feel so much remorse, so much pain? Why was he still wearing these stupid things? He pulled off the chains as he threw them. He raised his hand up in the air as a ball of fire was created. It grew large and larger and larger. But then he hesitated. He did not drop it on the chains. He threw it to the side as it started to burn through the entire forest nearby. He moved over and picked up the chains. He reached to his face. As he touched his face, water? He looked up. Rain was not falling. What? Was he crying? He was crying. He sighed as he sat back down. He placed on the necklace. Damn it. Damn it, he cursed to himself. As he made his way off, the nearby town that was near to the mountain peak had been shook violently. Houses were destroyed. Buildings were torn down from that little display of him going through a bit of trauma. As he simply made his way back home. As the forest continued to burn, starting a wildfire, but that didn't really concern him at the moment. As he simply made his way off, ignoring everything else around him, at his own weakness, to feel sympathy, pity. Weakness against those two, especially. Time skip. The group was currently in Konoha office. Only Team Kakashi alone. After Chiyo had risked her life, she brought Gaara back from the dead. As he retook his title as Kazekage, he thanked the team. They had a memorial service, but they didn't stay too long, as he had made their way back home. Everyone had came back fine from the mission, a bit scratched up but otherwise fine. Team Kakashi was currently in Tsunade's office. Kakashi was sitting by the windowsill, with Jiraiya inside as well, as he was here delivering some information to Tsunade from his pilot work. He had told him about his encounter with Naruto, and they told him about theirs. Mito sat down with a sigh, and so did Haku. And the both of you held back, asked Navi. Yes, but that's not the point. Jiraiya looked at Mito. What about that form, he asked. I didn't use it. But that's not it, Jiraiya-sensei, she said. Just think about it. She called him Jiraiya-sensei. She was serious. No time for playing or joking matters. Despite everything, he slapped away everything, like it was literally nothing towards him. He broke out of my chains without any effort. I can even hold you in my chains, to the extent of trapping you, if you don't undertake Sage Mode, and you have to push yourself. But he did it, with just a flick of his wrist. I don't know if he's absorbing the chakra from them or what, but if he did that, they would have fallen apart. But he simply just snapped them like they were nothing. And not to mention that explosion that Hidan had did. He grabbed it before it exploded and threw it so fast. I believe that it left Earth atmosphere. Jiraiya looked at them. He knew that Naruto was strong, and the reports from the sage was just ridiculous, but everything that he heard, it just made him sound more unbelievable. He really is what he claimed to be, a living god. Jiraiya sighed as he rubbed his face. He said that he won't stop no matter what we do. But Lady Chiyo, she did say something. After all of her times going through a lot of things, she was able to read people quite well. She said that he was struggling to make up his mind, but yet he spoke to us with almost not a care in the world, like he truly believed what he says. But yet still he was not really hurting us. Despite us attacking him, he was basically throwing off everything we hit him with and just walking away. But he saved you. Well, that was more of a statement, say Kakashi. He said that he wanted to fight Guy because he had the Hashaiman gate, something like that. I don't know exactly what he's talking about. It might be the first name for the inner 8 gates or something like that. Given the fact that he has lived so long, well, been alive so long, he must have seen other variation of it. And he also said that he wanted to test out Sasuke, but he still doesn't pose a threat. Even after all, as happened to me in the 3 years, he still say that I don't pose a threat against him, said Sasuke. Well, we were warned about this, said Jiraiya. The sage did told us that no matter what we did, we cannot best him in power. Mito sighed as she lowered her head. He also said that he'll be coming here to speak to you, because he's not stopping at just one nation. He'll be taking over the entire world. Snavy lowered her head. This was just getting worse and worse. The council, she wasn't sure if they really believed her. Some of them was at complete disbelief. Well, when Jiraiya had came there and confirmed everything, it was then that they all went silent. After all, why would two Sanins lie about this? So, at the moment, Konoha was holding back from sending one to the Otsutsuki Empire to interfere with Naruto, Otsutsuki makings and deals. Despite him taking over almost all of the minor nations that were around his empire side. The next place for him to take over now is Take. And then, it's the Fire Country and Konoha. And Tsunade was severely worried about that. She knew none of her ranks could defeat Naruto. And what was the point of sending everyone against him if you could literally pull a meteor from the sky and squash everyone with a thought? That was just beyond ridiculous. To believe that he has power like that, how could they even stop him? She released another drawn-out sigh. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Rain, deep in the confines of the underground base, sit Tendo, Nagatos, Devapath, along with the masked man. He is clearly delusional, said the masked man, as Obito wasn't showing his face to them. His mask was slightly different after all, the old one had been destroyed. This one, the pattern was swirling to the other side. It was like a mixture of turning counterclockwise. But it was suited quite well. He was talking to the Gedo statue like it was a living being, saying that he will fight it soon enough, said Tendo. I told you he's delusional. I went there. He ended up seeing my Sharingan and he said that he was the first user of the Sharingan. He's clearly gone mad with power or something like that. But it doesn't matter. You should be able to handle him, right? Of course. He's simply a mere man, and I'm a god. He wouldn't be able to stand up to the might of all my paths, said Nagato. He said that he has all of the tail beasts that I wanted, waiting. Once I'm finished collecting the others, I should come for them. But he's not gonna hand it over willingly. So it's a fight that he wants. Well, I'm entrusting this to you, Nagato, to crush all of his defenses and rip them away from him. Can you do that? I already told you, he's but a man, and I am a god, said Nagato. You shouldn't even ask. Obito said nothing. From what he saw, Naruto was quite capable. But Nagato had the Rinnegan. But Naruto had the Rinnegan as well. A strange version of it. It probably seemed to be the strongest version from what he saw, with the Tomos inside. Could Nagato really win this? Well, Nagato was his strongest pawn. Alright then, Nagato, I'll leave you be. With Deidara and Sorcery taken care of, me and Zetsu will take up the slack for them and capture their remaining targets. Yes, that will ensure we don't have to take the others off target, said Nagato, as he nodded and got to his feet. I'll take my leave now, he said. Without a second thought, he was gone in a swirling vortex. Someone then stepped out of the shadows. It was his trusty friend Conan, as he turned towards her. Conan, what is the problem, he said. He has known her long enough to know when something was on her mind. His eyes. You and I both saw them. They're the same eyes you possess. But they're red. And not to mention they have Megatamas like Sharingan in them. 9 in each, I counted them. What exactly is he? I have no idea. But are you losing faith in me, Conan? Of course not, but then do not worry. I will guide us through this like I have done with everything else. And we will come out on top. After all of our years of fighting for peace, after all the things that we've done, this will not slow us down, this will not stop us. So do not worry. I just need you to keep on believing in me. Okay? She nodded, but she was still frightened by what she saw. Conan was not one easy to frighten. Well, she had a right to be frightened. After all, Nagato claimed to be a god. But soon enough he will be going up against a real god. Time skip. A week passed. At the moment, at Konoha, the girls were having a girls' day out. Haku, Hinata, Mito, Sakura, Ino, and Tenten, all of them were there at the hot springs. All of them were just relaxing. Mito and Haku hasn't been in a good mood lately. After all, Ino and the others heard what happened. All they knew was that Naruto became a missing nin and turned his back on the village, and now had his own village. Everyone was quite shocked by that. Seeing that the two girls didn't really like to talk about it, Ino being the one always talking about things that were rather, well, personal. For once, she was rather quiet about it. Sakura had made Chunin in the last 3 years, seeing that she never passed the previous exam. But she passed at the Hidden Stand though. They usually hang out most of the times, but seeing that Mito wasn't here, well, they hang out with Haku a lot. But now that Mito was back, the girl group had gotten together, and they were all having a soak. Mito decided to just focus on something else at the moment, because if she continued to focus on what was going on with her brother, her head would just continue to kill her. Sakura at the moment was staring at each of the girls, because in here she was the flattest. Her head sank in the water as she glanced towards Hinata, that had excelled a lot in the past 3 years. Seeing Mito continue on with her dream and her goals, despite everything, it pushed the girl, as she wasn't as shy as before. She was next clan head for her clan. Her father has never been more proud, as she's been showing her leadership skills, and not to mention her skill. Her skills was on par with nature right now. The both of them hadn't really pushed themselves seriously. So, no one knew which one of them was the strongest. But nature might still be. But no one really knew. Sakura glanced towards Hinata and her rather massive chest. She glanced towards Ino. Even Ino was beating her in that area. She glanced towards Haku. Even Haku! As she glanced towards Tenten. Tenten wasn't that much bigger, but she was still beating her. And Mito. Despite she not having a rather large chest, her figure was just beyond amazing. Sakura thought to herself if she was into girls, Mito would be the person that she would go after. She shook her head. Where the hell did that thought came from? As she focused on back and relaxing. So, Mito, how is it? How's what? Well, you and Haku have been living with Sasuke for the longest time now. But now things are different. I mean, he has grown. In more ways than once. You must have spotted him coming from the bathroom every now and then. His waist wrapped in a towel. His chest bare. Any juicy details you want to share? Ino, Hinata said. Come on, Hinata. It's just some girl talk. As Haku looked towards her. Well, if you want to find out, you could simply come over and sleep over. And probably you could catch him coming out to the bathroom. Really? Ino said. Mito simply laughed. And what's so funny? Well, it's weird. I don't see what you're talking about. What do you mean? Well, Sasuke is good looking and all, but he is my friend. Yeah. We've all noticed that. Despite living in the same house as the guy for the longest time now, none of you have tried a thing. So that means he's still on the market then, asks Sakura. As Mito looked towards her, she simply shrugged. Go for it. Haku looked towards Mito. She didn't know if Mito, well, just didn't have time for guys or what. As she'd never really shown any interest in Sasuke, but she knew that Sasuke had eyes for Mito. But Mito didn't seem to focus on anything like that. She just been focused on training, and not really the more romantic part of her life. Well, not that she could blame her. After all, she didn't see anyone in this village that she liked or anything like that, other than him. And he was not here at the moment, so everything else was turn off for her. The girls talked some more, Ino trying to find out some juicy detail, as they eventually got out of the hot springs as they got their clothing. As all of them were making their way through the streets of Konoha, it was late in the evening. All of them were laughing as Ino just told them about her previous date, as she went on a date with a guy, and a rather embarrassing scene. But before anyone else could say anything, a shadow loomed over them. As all of them looked up, a man landed right in front of them. You, he said. Hinata was surprised because he was looking directly at her. You're coming with me, he said. The girls quickly came in front of Hinata. Who the hell are you? Asked Mito. As suddenly, the man waved his hand as several strange men in black clothing appeared behind him. I'm sorry, but I have to do this to stop him, he said. As he moved forward, the man in the black clothing moving as well. But guys, be in tips right here. If you want the next part of this, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.